Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Now, I hope you have some tissues beside you for today's video because we're going to be looking over what was a spectacular career for departing Celt Tom Rogic. A video which will commemorate some of his best moments in a Celtic jersey as we get ready to wish the Australian farewell. I have not been looking forward to making this video. I've been kind of putting it off. I wanted to strike when the iron was hot, but we need to pay tribute to what has been a fantastic servant to Celtic Football Club and a player who's provided us with many a great moment. Now, before we begin to look at the greatest moments that Tom Rogic gifted us, it's a very quick one from me in saying, make sure to hit like and subscribe. It's down below the video. It's absolutely free. It would be much appreciated. We have been getting mad support over the past couple of days with the videos on the channel, so keep that up. Thank you very much. I am appreciative, especially at this point when there isn't too much to talk about. So I do appreciate the support, guys, and thanks very much for that. So yeah, like and subscribe. Also, it's the 25th of May today, so you know what that means. It's the anniversary of that famous day in Lisbon, the day that Celtic lifted the European Cup. Billy McNeil, the image of him lifting the trophy high above his head. It's one of the most famous in football history and the most famous in Celtic's history. A moment that we should cherish and talk about forever. It's a moment that will never be topped. In my eyes, it is the greatest moment in football history. A team that lifted every bit of silverware that was available to them that season. It will never be done again. 5 honours in the one season that the Lisbon Lions and Jock Stein seen. I know I wasn't alive. It was 55 years ago. I'm only 22. But I understand the importance, and it's very important that we keep that going, that importance. You know, we need to drill that into the future generations of Celtic fans. And I want to be one of those ones that football fans appreciate till the dawn of time. Let's not buy into this nonsense that football was a different sport or achievements don't matter from the years like 1967. They do. We should talk about them and cherish them forever. That is a European achievement that will never be topped by anyone in this country, top to bottom. Scotland, England, Wales, Ireland, I don't care. It is just simply iconic. And once again, we celebrate another year remembering that famous team. And also on that note, very quickly, a shout out to Martin O'Day and his CSC over in Limerick Island, the Patrick Sarsfield CSC, for celebrating their 25th birthday on this great day. Not a bad day to have that sort of anniversary, sharing it alongside the 1967 European Cup win. I hope you guys are having a ball. I hope you are enjoying yourselves, and happy birthday for your CSC. So Tom Rogic, he is sadly leaving us after almost a decade of sheer brilliance at Celtic Football Club. He has decided to leave. He's decided to go elsewhere upon expiry of his contract, which is fair enough. It is sad to see him go, and as I said, it's a very sad one. It's sort of a sombre tone in this one, talking about Tom Rogic leaving. Easily one of the best and most entertaining players that I've seen at my time supporting Celtic, and someone who I will always fondly remember for giving us big moments and big goals. And just think of the success that he's seen as part of a Celtic team. He's been here in what has been the most glittering decade of domestic dominance this country has ever seen. The league titles he's won, the Scottish Cups, the League Cups, the moments he's seen and gone and through, and everything else, and he's contributed to all of that. He's been there. He's been a focal point for the best part of the last 5-6 years. He's someone who has done more than his fair share of contributing, and today we're going to look back on some of his greatest moments in that contribution to Celtic Football Club. What a player, and I'm glad that he's leaving the way he is. You know, he's going out now with a double and a league medal, a league winners medal round his neck, whereas, you know, a lot of people were talking about him leaving last season when he was linked with a move to Qatar, and he could have left on quite a sad note after what was a disastrous campaign under Neil Lennon, but he stayed with his fellow countryman Ange Postecoglou, wrote the wrongs of what was last season, and he's gone out remembered as the player we all know him as, and that is Tom Rogic, the Wizard of Oz, you could say. So here we go. We're going to go through what I think is his 8 best moments at Celtic. I would have done 18 for his shirt number, but that's ripping the arse right out it. We don't need 18, so I've put it down to 8. We've moved the 1. We're going to go through 8 of the best moments Tom Rogic has had at Celtic Football Club. Disclaimer, yes, big warning, big red sign in your face before we even start counting down these moments. This is in my opinion, right? This isn't the, you know, definitive 8 best moments of Tom Rogic. There might be moments I've left out here that you feel like should be here, or they might be in an order which you feel is not wrong or right or whatever. This is just my opinion, right? So just calm down in the comments section before I've left something out. If I have, then sorry, right? This is just the 8 that I picked when I was scripting the video this morning. So calm down, right? I can hear you typing. Just calm it, right? Number 8 then, let's talk about this season, because this season is one to remember. As I said, he leaves on such a high note, and I'm starting with that goal against Dundee United back at Tannadice earlier this season. It was a goal to remember. It was one of the goal of the season nominees, and rightly so. The way he dances through the Dundee United defence is just so signature of Tom Rogic. It's like his signature move if he was a wrestler. Twinkle toes, gliding through with the slippers and the cigar. It was one of those goals as well that, yes, we dominated the game. It was one of our better performances of the season, but it was really telling of where we were going to go this season as a football club and how we'd end up as champions. It was one of those complete performances, and Tom Rogic's goal was a big part of that. It just showed the sheer brilliance in Ange Postecoglou's side, and of course the goal itself is just magical. Number 7, we're going to talk about the 5-0 game at Celtic Park, and that game alone, for his participation in it, should just count as a moment. But of course, Tom Rogic got involved in the party that day. It was party mode at Celtic Park. You know, we knew if we won that game, we would be crowned champions of Scotland. So going in with that opportunity against Rangers was on the mind of everyone. Celtic Park was bouncing, and we had to do it in fashion. And boy, oh boy, we done it in spectacular fashion. A 5-0 win over our city rivals. Utter embarrassment. The Scants were whipped off. And Celtic, you know, they just took control of the game. 3-0 up at half-time. You're thinking, how better can this get? And right at the start of the second half, Tom Rogic gets involved in the act with a tidy first-time goal. If you remember the shot from outside the box, it kind of bounces to him with no keeper in the sticks at the time. But it was a brilliant finish. And that when that goal went in, the overwhelming feeling from me that day was this could have been a 10-0. And it should have been. We were 5-0 up, about 55 minutes played, and then we just stopped scoring. But Rogic's goal was a big part of that, and that was a magic season for Celtic. Of course, the double treble season at Celtic, and Tom Rogic was brilliant that year. And that goal was, the technique was what was, you know, really telling of Tom Rogic. The fact he could score goals from range without really thinking twice about it. A magical player, a magical day for Celtic. I've actually had a nightmare with number 4 here because the camera cut out and I didn't realise that at the time, so I've had to sort of re-record it without camera footage and just using my voice. So yeah, I guess the positive is you don't have to look at me, but the negative is you still have to listen to me. Anyway, for this moment I decided to go with one from that unforgettable campaign under Neil Lennon, and yes, surprisingly I have involved a moment from this season, the 2020-21 campaign, the COVID season behind closed doors. For all the negatives that it brought us, it did bring us a positive in the fact we won the quadruple treble, and Tom Rogic was important in that. You know, the fact that he turned up to Hampden on that semi-final day against Aberdeen and gave us one of the best individual performances of a dire season was vital in ensuring our place in the cup final at Hampden. He was brilliant that day. Ryan Christie and El Yunusi were the guys who got on the score sheet, but Tom Rogic just had one of his best performances of that season. A performance that gave us hope for the rest of the season. Of course, it didn't pan out well for either Tom or Celtic, but it certainly was a good moment in a terrible season, and one that helped us go on to win what is an unprecedented quadruple treble. Number 5, it's this season as well. It's the goal at Ibrox in the 2-1 victory over Rangers, the game that effectively won Celtic the league title. Not much else has to be said. It's a game that sees you win a league title. I mean, maybe not officially, but I think that was the moment we all as Celtic fans knew the title was coming home. We went to their own backyard. We managed to come back from 1-0 down, and Tom Rogic's goal, of course, plays a massive role in that game. Considering the fact we went 1-0 down so early, we had to get back into the game, and who was there to do so? Tom Rogic with another huge moment against Rangers. He's had so many of them. It's hard to narrow down which moments against Rangers are the best, but he was important in that game. And you know, Carter Vickers goes on to score later on in the game, and you're leaving Ibrox 6 points clear at the top of the table, which is absolutely massive. And it obviously was the game that kind of done it for us. It effectively sealed the title. Tom Rogic, he helped deliver what was one of the most sweet, joyous and memorable league titles in our lifetime as Celtic supporters. Moment number 4, I was actually tempted to go back and find the footage of my match review from this day, because this goal against Motherwell was one that I will remember till the day I die. It was huge, and if you remember at the time, Celtic were on a marvellous run of form with Brendan Rodgers, and we were looking to complete a league title win in very quick fashion. We'd won it by Halloween, if you remember that year, but it was the invincible season, and every game that we played, we were getting closer and closer, and we were getting better and better, and we just didn't want to lose. And this game against Motherwell, there was moments in the game you're like, okay, this is where the run comes to an end. This is where it all kind of crashes and burns. Because Motherwell were all over us, and we had to come back. We were down. We were down and out, it looked. We pull it back to 3-3. You're thinking to yourself, okay, a point from the, we were losing this game. We're now walking away with a point. That's good enough. It's not good enough for Tom Rogic. Tom Rogic in the 90th minute of the game with a shot from just outside the area, curls it into the bottom corner of the Motherwell net. It's one of his most memorable goals, I think, in a Celtic shirt in what was a huge season. I think that was one of the defining seasons for Tom Rogic. I remember him being outstanding when he was called upon in that invincible treble campaign. But that goal was one of the goals that, despite the fact we would have drawn anyway, he just helped in that game drag us out of a position where we could have lost. And then we wouldn't be talking about an invincible treble. So, huge moment, a memorable one, 90th minute winners. He's a clutch player, Tom. That's one thing that we learned from all of this. He was a clutch player. Number 3, the 3-2 win at Ibrox. A game that effectively, once again, seen Celtic become champions of Scotland. In a game there, once again, we had our backs to the wall for a lot of it. We were down to 10 men at a point. Rangers took the lead twice in the game. It looked as though it was going to swing Rangers' way, and that could have been very damning on the way the title race was going at the time. But Celtic pulled through. Celtic got the 3-2 win, and that game alone is a moment, it's a memory of Tom Rogic. But his goal in the game is just marvellous. It's what, in my eyes, it might be his best goal as a Celtic player. Just the distance, the technique, the shot itself is just magical, and it's one of the best goals I've ever seen at Ibrox from a Celtic team in my life. It might actually be the best. Unbelievable stuff from Rogic, and that was to equalise early on in the game after we went 1-0 down. Another time where Tom Rogic has been called upon to bring Celtic back into the game, and he's kind of single-handedly dragged us through it. Just that little bit of space is all he needed sometimes, Tom Rogic. He just needed that little bit of space, and if players gave him that, he was dangerous. And how many times have we seen him guide the ball into the back of the net with ease? That was one of the best occasions. Moment number 2. It's a big one. 2016, Rugby Park. Aberdeen chasing Celtic to try and make something of a title race, but Celtic just didn't let it happen. And who didn't let it happen in particular? Tom Rogic. A 90th minute winner once again at Rugby Park. You give him the space, you give him the time, he's going to make something magic happen. And this is another one of these ones that you can say that could be his greatest goal in a Celtic shirt. Ronnie Dyler's team, Ronnie Dyler's second season, I think, is defined with this goal, in my opinion. This is the goal that I'll always come back to in that 2015-16 campaign. It's the one that I think of the most, in the green shirt with the Celtic end behind the goal, the celebrations. The way that he turns and hits the ball is world class. No exaggeration, that is world class. Not many football players have the talent, the ability and the technique to do that. And the way that he done it so calmly to effectively, once again, seal a league title for Celtic is crazy. And how many times have I used that term, seal a league title? How many times has Tom Rogic been involved in these big games, in these moments that have won Celtic trophies? So many, and there's still one more to talk about. The number one moment is not up for discussion. I think we're all in unison in saying it. That day at Hampden in 2017, the Scottish Cup final against Aberdeen. What a day. And Tom Rogic, the centre of attention once more, as he won Celtic their invincible treble. The Scottish Cup, 90th minute goal. The scenes in the Celtic end at Hampden. I was there that day, and it's the one that I will take with me to the grave. It's one of those defining games in my life as a football fan, and it always will be. I listened to my dad talk about stories of the 67 season, the run to the European Cup final, Scottish Cups that he'd seen Celtic win at Hampden with crowds of 100,000 people. For me, it might not be to the same extent as what my dad got to experience, but that is one of those games. It's the one that I'll tell my children about, my grandchildren about, and Tom Rogic's name will always be the name on the tip of my tongue as I talk about it, because that goal, it's just crazy. Once again, dances past the defenders, slips it into the back of the net from the tightest of angles, and sees Celtic lifting what was just a cherry on top of what a magic season under Brendan Rodgers. My favourite season as a football supporter. I loved it, and Tom was just so big and so crucial in all of that. I honestly still look at it as the best day of my life. And Tom Rogic gave me that. And it's moments like that that will make me miss Tom Rogic. So there you go. There is my 8 moments of brilliance from Tom Rogic. The 8 moments that I think define him as one of Celtic's best and most talented players of recent times. And 8 moments that will make me cry at night thinking of how he's not involved with us anymore. Tom, thank you for your services. You're not watching this video probably, but if you are, thank you. Good luck. And I hope Tom Rogic has a fantastic career out with Celtic. Someone who I would welcome back to the club in any capacity in the future. A real servant, a real hero, and just a legend. A modern day legend. Hit like and subscribe. I'll see you all next time.